We'll go ahead and pull up chat on this side and we'll just wait while you guys kind of trickle in before we go into what we actually want to talk about. So we'll just hang out and wait. I was like, what are you pressing on my video for?
I'm just trying to get a cheat code to get to your channel.
Oh, okay. We have the live on both. That's cool. I know it's funny whenever I go live, I have some of you guys asking me, you're like, is this live? You know, is this actually live? So I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like if anything, I've gotten so comfortable just going live way more than recording a video beforehand. And it actually, like, I don't know, clicked for me why I like doing live more. Well, for multiple reasons, but especially with me struggling with my speaking and wanting to get better with it, I feel like when I'm live, it almost gives me like a warm up. Like I'm warming up before I speak what I actually want to say. And I was like, wow, that's actually so helpful for those of you who wanted to improve on your speaking is just pick up the camera. Don't wait till you feel ready because it's almost like you're going 0 to 100. You're just like quiet in your room and then you just put your phone up and then you press play and then you're like, hey guys, and you know it probably just feels like really 0 to 100 and it probably feels like uncomfortable. So I think that's why lives have helped me so much, because when I get clips from, you know, this video that's going to probably be pretty long, it just feels so natural because we've been just talking for a while and it just is like almost like a warm up. So I thought that was interesting and probably can be very helpful for you if you're wanting to practice your speaking, because it is intimidating when you're talking to a camera compared to a person, I think. Well, personally, because I also like go off of other people's, you know, energy, their responses. And since I'm not getting any, it can get a little intimidating. I'm like, okay, where's this conversation going? But it is something that you get used to, and like any other skill, you start to get better the more you practice it. So don't get discouraged if you feel like you're not where you want to be. Just remind yourself that you do need to practice to improve.
Okay.
Your mic.
Yeah.
All right.
If you're
Hello.
new, yeah, I was like, if you guys are new, this is my husband Noah,
Hi, everybody.
and if you're not, then you know, welcome back. Where we just kind of chat about TV shows or maybe even things about I don't know, like our perspectives on things.
Yeah.
That we want to just find similarities with other people that probably, you know, like the same interests, right? Like a lot of times we like just talking about anime, video games, weightlifting, even just like about our dogs, relationships, just like a bunch of all those things. Oh, and food. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't forget that. That's always good.
We're obsessed with food.
Cool. Yeah.
Hello. I'm Isabel's husband.
You already said hi.
I know,
Oh,
but if they don't know like who I am or why I'm here.
Why? Yeah, why are you here?
Why am I here?
No, I'll tell you guys why he's here.
Isabel found me off the street and decided she's just like, I'm gonna talk to you. Do you have an hour? And I just said okay. So now we're here.
Yeah. No. Well, actually, speaking of that, this is not actually what we're going to talk about, but I'm glad that you're actually very upfront, because Noah's a very upfront person. We met kind of like mutual friends in the gym. And that's one thing that stood out to me about him, is that he was just really upfront. I feel like a lot of people think they need to like play games or be mysterious. I actually thought it was so interesting that he wasn't like other people, you know, just him being himself and finding, like, I don't know, I just felt like that was like so confident, right? Like it's like when you're not even trying to like
I'm not like the other girls.
yeah, you're not like the other girls. No, like you're not trying to put up something, like you're just real. And I feel like that's so rare to find in people. So that's what stood out to me. But yeah, he's the one that would always just kind of come up and talk to me, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I told Noah, we're gonna, honestly, this is our second time doing this. We're gonna practice, because I told Noah we're always yapping when it's just us, but Noah, sometimes, I was like, yeah, I want you to feel more comfortable when we have the camera up, because I really want people to hear his perspective, because I don't know, I find it so interesting, and especially from someone that watches a lot of people that talk about, motivational speeches, or even like mental health and all that. I always tell him, like, I love hearing his perspective on it, and I feel like it's just like with anyone, right? Like, you don't understand how other people see it, you just see it how you see it. But that's why I'm like, let's just chat, and I want other people to hear this stuff.
Oh yeah, this is another to be determined podcast, to be determined name podcast. This is episode
that's true.
2.
We don't have a name. Episode 2.
We're still thinking.
Yeah.
But if you have ideas, you can leave them in the chat or in the comments in the video, and then we'll see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So how is your day going? How is your week?
Whoa, a lot of big questions.
Are they big? Are they?
Yeah, that is such a big question there. How's my day? How's my week? It's been actually really nice. Yeah. But you know that, because you always ask me.
Yeah, but they don't. I'm playing pretend, so then we can...
Okay. Yeah, no, honestly, my day has been really nice, and my week has been really nice. And yeah, it's something that I'm really glad to enjoy. I think it's me actually being more in the moment. And I know it's like it's funny, right? Like, people tell you, oh, live more in the moment, do these things, but it doesn't actually click until you actually do it. Like, recognize the difference. And that's something that I've also enjoyed. I've enjoyed when I wouldn't say enjoyed, but it's nice to reflect when I'm not in the moment, because then it's like you can tell the difference with how your mental state is and your emotions. And remember I was telling you about that, like the psychology behind that even, okay, because you guys are probably here because of working out and fitness and stuff. So this was something I thought was so interesting. When you work out and you like listen to certain songs to like pump you up, if you listen to them long enough, they're not going to have that same effect, right? You kind of get desensitized with it. And using that as an example is like, that's kind of how it is with life, right? Like, if you're always showing yourself this thing that does bring you some sense of joy or happiness, like even with like foods, right? Like, if you're eating those foods like every day, it kind of loses that like I don't know, that like meaning, or like not the meaning, but you look at me like you haven't heard me tell you about it. Remember, and I was telling you, I'm like, it actually makes it more meaningful when you kind of make it intentional. So when you're wanting those songs, save them for when you go to the gym, so it actually is more intentional, and you actually do get excited when you listen to it instead of desensitizing yourself from it. And then also, like, when you do really like this meal, it means more when you kind of save it instead of like having it every day. It doesn't actually, I don't know, hold that much weight anymore. So that is kind of how I see life. Like, you're not going to always be happy and enjoy things, but that's okay, because when you do, it's that much more meaningful.
Like the obsession with like people never being bored and just always being stimulated.
Yeah, exactly.
So then if you're always watching movies, TV shows, YouTube videos, whatever, and you never have like quiet time, it's harder to appreciate like what you're actually consuming. And just we just eventually end up becoming like a passive consumer of everything, because we can never fully focus on just that one thing.
Yes.
So like the same thing with the music, to where it's like if you're always listening to pump up like gym music or whatever, then it just, all of it becomes bland, right? To where it's like It's kind of almost like an addiction a little bit, right? To where
Yeah.
whenever people are addicted to something, they're chasing that dragon of like that first high,
Mhm.
and then everything will never be the same as that first time. But
yeah.
it's because you're building a tolerance.
Yeah.
But then
exactly.
if you choose to like have it sporadically, you don't have to worry about building a tolerance. Every
Mhm.
time will hit like at a decent level. Maybe not as much as the first time, but
Mhm.
an enjoyable enough level to where all your senses and stuff don't become dull.
Yeah.
Like to
That's why, in a way, like when I am quote unquote like bored or not as stimulated, I actually enjoy that moment because I know that when the stuff that does stimulate me is gonna actually hit that much harder.
mm-hmm.
So that's why it's like good to recognize that if you're feeling that type of way, it's just like acknowledging that the ups and downs are what make it that much more real and in a good way. So yeah, that's why I actually think it's interesting when people are like, "Oh, I always think you're happy. I can never imagine you sad," and that's why I'm just like, I don't know, like isn't that weird to not have, the just all those emotions, or maybe embracing them?
I think
guess.
part of even having that little, the spark dulls out. Yeah. I think part of it has to do with like people misunderstanding the times when they see you. It's like
Yeah, it's
I'm
true.
not gonna go to the gym and be bawling my eyes out. Like
Before in the car though, that's
like
fine.
for the most part, whenever I'm there, I'm gonna be pretty much around the same mental state
Yeah.
for the most part whenever I'm at the gym. Like you're never gonna catch me out in public like being at a normal, just like happy, satisfied level. I'm not ever gonna go out there either like ultra pissed and like breaking things or whatever,
Mhm.
or like super sad and bawling my eyes out. Like, so it's kind of a silly question because it's like those sorts of emotions are usually only saved for specific times. And
Maybe speak
people
for
or
yourself. I
whatever.
have to watch out if I'm watching like an edit on TikTok, maybe about like, you send me some too about like One Piece or even Naruto, like just all those stuff. I do kind of tear up. I'm just like, I gotta hold it together and stuff. But I'm like, speak for yourself. I kind of do tear up sometimes, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I use it.
Yeah. I feel like if someone said that to me, I'd feel like it was silly. I'm like,
Yeah.
I talk to you 20 minutes like every week, maybe. Like I have an interaction with you. What wide variety of emotions do you
Yeah,
expect me to
exactly.
actually go through in such like little spurts of like
Mhm.
conversation
Yeah.
or whatever?
Well, I think when you say it out loud, it just makes it kind of obvious, and you kind of have to do that with everything, right? You have to get specific with certain things that, because then they're like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly what you said. Yeah, they're not gonna see a variety of emotions in 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. But I think just always having the capacity to understand that people are, probably just showing you that one side of them that you meet them at, right? Like if they're a coworker or if they're a person you meet at the gym or just, something. If you're not having a deeper relationship with them, then yeah, you're probably not going to see many other sides of them, but it doesn't mean that they don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
So just recognizing that, and it's just interesting.
Yeah.
But before we jump into it, let's see. That kind of does lead into what I wanted us to like talk about. And let's see, do you want to take over, or do you want me to give a little backstory?
Well, I think you should give the context first. And
Okay.
then-
Well, yeah. So us actually talking about emotions, I think that was a funny thing because I was telling Noah, I was like, yeah, I had a friend tell me that they really never see me cry, that they always see me very happy. And I kind of told him, I'm like, yeah, it actually brought up another conversation because I was talking to a girl that I know from my gym, and she was kind of saying that when she does feel vulnerable and she wants to share it because she feels like maybe someone else can relate, that she has people telling her, why are you sharing that? Like, why are you sharing your emotions kind of thing? And that you shouldn't, that just keep that to yourself. And I was just talking to Noah about it because I'm like, why do people see that as a negative? Like being emotional or sharing your emotions, like a negative thing. To me, I think that's a very empowering thing because you're also not giving that situation or incident where you do feel your emotions, like so much power that it has a hold on your whole identity, because it's like if someone cries, are they now, that's who they are? Like I feel like these are just moments in our life that we can accept and understand, but your life goes on. You're not fixed in that moment. And so for someone to think if you share that, then that's like, so fixated on, so I was just trying to like, share that with Noah. And I loved his perspective on it because it's something that I think a lot of people should hear, or at least, talk about.
Well, I feel like a lot of situations is like we have a misconception of like maybe like what the word strong means.
Yeah.
And like in a lot of situations, like just the most basic situation is like whenever someone starts crying and you say, oh, don't cry or whatever, versus like being like, no, it's okay to cry, like it's okay, just let it out, whatever. And like having that sort of perspective, because a lot of people will respond a lot better you getting emotional and like crying with them or whatever, right? Like everyone has this perspective of a strong leader or whatever as someone who's like unfeeling or whatever, or is unshakable or whatever. But I think a lot of the time people miss the point that like emotion actually is like a good driving factor, right? Like if any big leader came out or whatever.
Well, you were talking about Vinland Saga, and I thought that was a great example.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get to that specifically.
Okay.
But like, for example, let's say like you're on your water polo team.
Yeah.
And your captain is like getting really fired up, right? Like everyone else is more likely to get fired up because their emotions are contagious.
Yeah.
Or another example would be if you guys went to a really big game and your captain started crying. Everyone else is probably more likely to start crying because everyone's holding in those emotions. And usually I feel like those, and we've talked about this like kind of fairly recently, but that you're more likely to bond stronger over that sharing that emotion. And most likely, like I'd imagine if your captain and everyone cried, you're all going to remember that moment and it's going to be cemented in you to come back better, right? Because none of you want to feel that sad ever again. Specifically, there's a moment like that happens in Slam Dunk to where they play this really big game and they all like start bawling their eyes out just because like they played so hard that game. And specifically like their team captain, like this big they literally call him like gorilla, but he's like a massive gorilla of a man, just like huge, super tall, whatever, starts crying, right? And then all of them get fired up like after that because they never want to feel like that again, right? And that led me to Vinland Saga. And you guys probably remember because it was all over the internet, the memes of like stoicism, I have no enemies, whatever. And I think it actually became almost like misconstrued, like a misconception of like what stoicism means, because I feel like people think that in order to be stoic, you are unfeeling, right? When in reality, it's like the exact opposite. To where I think it's either called the Meditations or something else, but it was like a Roman emperor. I think it was Marcus Aurelius, or I forget his. I think that was his name. I'll double check. But basically, it was like this emperor, and this entire book where he talks, the Stoicism idea comes from, is almost like a diary of his, where he was just sharing his thoughts, being the leader of the largest empire in the entire world at the time. And someone published basically his diary. Oh, that's cool. Right? And so anyway, he kind of talks about being a leader and stuff, and that idea of being a stoic, but people misconstrued his words, or maybe honestly let's be real. Today, most people probably didn't read the book.
Hmm. Maybe,
Most people
yeah.
just like get the word and they're
Mhm.
just like, okay, like this kind of fits, and they just like
Yeah.
try and like cram it in, right? It's like square peg in a round hole. You're just like mashing it in there, trying to
Mhm.
make it stick. But the book actually talks about you're better in your life whenever you're in the moment and actually feel the emotions you feel in the actual moment that it's happening
Mhm.
versus putting them off, because you can like function better as a person feeling all the emotions as they come to you and as they're happening versus bottling them up.
Mhm.
Or because there's like two different extremes like where it can go. It's either you don't feel your emotions enough in the moment and you allow the emotions to carry on further by like continuing to cry, right?
Mhm.
Like not fully reaching your satisfaction, so then you cry for a whole week instead of
Yeah.
like one day,
Mhm.
or in the moment that it's happening, or vice versa. You feel no emotions in that moment and you bottle it up, and those emotions still exist, right? Like
Yeah.
our emotions don't disappear just because we don't feel them or whatever. They're still there, and then all of a sudden it like seeps out in other moments
Mhm.
of your life, and you're never fully able to be stoic of being just having a more well-rounded experience and level, like not being ruled by your emotions but not allowing your emotions, and the opposite to where it's like you're not allowing your emotions to affect your thinking at all,
Mhm.
right? To where it's like this nice balance of like feeling them as they come and being able to better like function, be a better person, and all this stuff. Because if you bottle it up, that's where resentment happens.
Yeah.
If you let it rule your life, that's where things start to become chaotic, because
Mhm.
then everything becomes emotional and you don't think things through logically enough either.
Yeah.
And it's like this almost too much logic and then too much emotion, and instead just like
One thing that helps me is reminding myself that emotions are just information, right? Like if you're sad, that's information that thing or that whatever it is like hurt you. You know, and understanding it in that way. So it's almost like putting a little bit of logic and emotion and using it together
mm-hmm.
to understand more about yourself and the situation and, go from there.
Yeah. And oh, okay. So, okay, that was general. Are we responding to comments? Yeah. If you have
Yeah.
if you have something good, I'll answer. Or
If you have
or
something good.
whenever
Yeah, I'll rate it.
whenever one of us is talking, I'm usually like, if you're talking, I'll look at the chat.
Yeah.
If I'm talking, you'll look at the chat,
Yeah.
whatever. But on the topic of Vinland Saga, specifically, this topic works so well because essentially the show blows it up, right, into this hyperbolic like exaggeration of a situation where a character has like one of the most tragic things happen to them. I'm gonna try and keep it like generally brief, just in case you didn't like.
I think it's crazy people that haven't seen Vinland Saga.
Yeah,
Like
I'm just gonna keep it brief.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna not
you should watch
try and
it.
spoil it.
Yeah.
Stoicism reminds me of Buddhism. Kinda. I honestly don't know enough about Buddhism, but I would trust you. I mean, just my general interpretation of it being like keeping us like very centered,
Yeah.
like balance, or whatever. Yeah, I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
It is funny. I do feel like different cultures kind of like end up having similar ideas and calling it something different.
How would you describe stoicism?
Stoicism?
Yeah.
Like experiencing everything life has to come at you in the moment, and like choosing to feel things while also not letting your feelings like completely rule your life either, to where it's like essentially the yin and yang or whatever, like having that balance.
One thing that I kind of like learned about Buddhism, because I was listening to Dr. K, and I thought it was interesting because I know there's like so many ways to describe Buddhism, but one of the things is like they try not to let the ego determine what they're doing. So that's why you'll see them like monks just kind of like in their own space, in their own cave, because if it's almost like that. I don't know what to call it. Like when you do something good and how people are like, oh, I did this, I did that. It's almost like you're letting your ego, even though it was something good, right? You're letting that ego come out. And so that's what Buddhism, the monks, they try not to. That's why they're just really centered, because you don't see, because it's like you wonder, why don't you see like monks going and doing like, technically like something good, I guess you can say, quote unquote. Because in a way it's almost they're feeding their ego and they're not trying to feed their ego. I don't know. I thought it was actually really interesting. I was like, whoa, okay. Like I can see that. But yeah, I was like, what is the stoicism? So I was like, compare.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
But you can let us know why you think they're very similar. This is coming from someone who grew up with similar values. I have been exposed to, Buddhism? Theravada Buddhism. Wow. Interesting. Oh, it's separate.
Yeah. Twitch, YouTube.
I might have to pull this up because I'm like, very small.
Does Isabel have Asian ancestry? You have Asian facial features.
I do. I've never been told that, but I don't think I do.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably
okay.
just my dark hair.
So then, Vinland Saga specifically approaches it in a way of an exaggerated version. Like, you take Viking society, where literally their pinnacle of life, their heaven, comes from the idea of fighting in battle and dying with your weapon in your hand, right? Like literally dying a warrior, and both the men and the women, everyone's a warrior, and you have to die in battle in order to get into heaven. Yeah. Literally their entire life is about murder and killing somebody else and glory and conquering and all this stuff. And it takes an odd duck, which is Thorfinn's dad, coming to this conclusion whenever he's literally at the pinnacle of his life, right? Like pinnacle of his life, has the potential for all this power, glory, whatever, and decides to throw it all away because of this sudden realization of having a family of his own and realizing that what he's perpetrating, he wouldn't, like, he starts to see himself and his family in every single person that he's coming across, right? To where he can no longer see himself as this, like, being alone, and instead seeing everyone as a version of himself, right? Like, hence, you have no enemies, right? Yeah. Because every single person you're running into is you, right? They're a son, they're a daughter, they're a wife, they're a husband, they're a dad, they're a mother, they're a friend. Like, even just like at the most, like at their core, they're just a human being, right? Like, we all bleed the same blood. Anyway, and it takes an almost like an extreme version of like one of the worst things possible that could have ever happened to somebody happens to this boy, and this boy basically has to grapple with this intense lesson of what his dad has always been preaching to him his entire life versus what he's feeling in that moment. And he kind of loses, I know it sounds silly, he loses his Master Yoda. He loses his guide to the world that was trying to guide him on the right path. And instead, he has to try and go it alone. Not only alone, but also with the person who did the worst thing to him.
I thought that was crazy. I couldn't wrap that around my head.
And and he's only able to do this because the person who did this awful thing to him respected his guide so much, like his father, right? And eventually we come around to the second season, and this big thing happens at the end of season 1 where essentially what Thorfinn had been building up his entire life as, like, it was his only goal his entire life, gets snatched from him, right? And all of a sudden he's forced to grapple with, what do I do now? I dedicated my entire life to chasing after this goal, and it was such a shallow goal. I never thought what I would do after I did it. And all of a sudden he is just flooded with all these emotions of what that means, what he did along the way in order to get to that goal, and grappling with all of the awful things that he did, which any other person in that, like, if his dad wasn't the way he was, he probably never would have eventually grappled with that idea. And because essentially all these Vikings just accept violence, right? Accept violence, accept murder. It's a part of life, right? And they justify it literally with their religion, right? Like, oh, it's fine to kill somebody because if I fight them in battle, they're going to go to heaven. Right? So it's okay for me to kill people. It's okay for me to kill this father. It's okay for me to kill this wife. It's okay for me to kill this mother, this child, this
I mean, they kind of have to do they have
whatever.
To brainwash themselves,
And essentially, like, this super intense society, and you shove somebody in it that like actually rethinks everything, like, and is forced to rethink it. And so a lot of people kind of checked out of that second season, not understanding, like, that it was kind of forcing them to think a little bit more, and think a little bit about, you know what, maybe in your everyday life, people that you've been told are bad are really just the same as you, right? And maybe they're similar to you, where they were raised to believe something else, and that's why maybe you don't agree. But essentially, you can find ways to solve things without having to murder them or kill them or whatever.
The extreme.
Yeah. And Thorfinn feels lots of things in that show, right? Like, Thorfinn has to, because he had essentially been trying to put off feeling all of those things his entire life, and goes into this traumatic spiral in the second season where he has to feel everything now, right? To where putting off your emotions in that extreme, you're gonna have to feel it eventually, and it's better to just feel it now and move forward. But anyway, the misinterpretation or whatever of that sort of like stoicism lesson that everyone tried to preach was that it's not you trying to be hard or not feel anything or whatever. Like, actually it was the exact opposite, and it was like a bunch of young guys like trying to convince themselves that they just need to not feel anything and like play further into that, like, we'll just be a man, like, grow up or whatever, when in reality it's like, you know, it shouldn't be that way.
I mean, I think that's what I was like even sharing with you, right? Like, besides men feeling that way, like, I know that's something that's very pressured on them not to have emotions, but also even women now too, you know, like with anyone, and that's seen like a bad thing. And that you shouldn't share that. I mean, I understand it is being vulnerable, but that's why, to me, I see that as like strength, because not everybody can feel like it, because it is like, right, like you're having to acknowledge things, and people want to just avoid. That's easier. It's easier to avoid things. But when you want to acknowledge something, you're going to feel something. And to me, that's strength, that you're willing to go there. And to other people who are like, oh, you shouldn't show that. It's like, I don't know. It just, to me, I'm just like, I don't know. Just, crazy how it's.
I agree.
It's like that.
Okay. I think anyone who has been raised with a set of values and then meets a point where they realize that those values are wrong would be in existential shock. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's why the show actually works so well, is because is such crazy extremes at the existential. It's kind of hard. It's funny that everyone missed the point, but it's like it's hard to miss the point. They exaggerated it for a reason because they didn't want you to miss the point, and it's funny that people still did.
What I realize is that you will understand something to the capacity that you're able to in your reality. Me working with people that want to lose weight or, get in shape, I've realized that I will say something to them and they totally miss the whole point. And so that's what I've realized. I'm like, I guess, you can't expect someone to live in the reality you do because they're not there yet. And so they will try to make it make sense with where they're at. So that's why, you can't, like, maybe later in their life they'll understand, but you can't force someone at the end of the day. But you can give them a chance and see where that goes. Oh, and Buddhism is about letting go. I exactly with, like, that's why you don't realize, like, your ego controls a lot of you, right? Like, you don't realize it, but it does. So, yeah, Buddhism, they're just, like, letting things go and not having an ego, technically. But. Really? Someone at the door?
I think someone just walked up.
Huh?
I think someone just walked up. You want me to go check?
I guess so. We have someone at the door. We can just chat in the meantime. It's probably just the mailman or something. But curious if you guys, who's seen Vinland Saga? If you haven't, I feel like just what is up? We'll see. Okay, Noah's coming back. I hear him. But yes, if you like these kind of conversations and topics, then yeah, you would like Vinland Saga and you would understand it from what they're trying to portray. Oh, you haven't seen it yet? Oh, you'll love it. It's really amazing. Like, it'll get you worked up. I mean, it did for me. But I also feel like that is a sign of a good storytelling when it actually provokes feelings out of you. So it's really good. What else? Let's see. It's Wanda. Men usually share their feelings with few considered people. I feel like that goes for both. Everyone's,
I think it's different. As a man, I feel like most men don't really like to be real with each other. Mm. Like, I feel like most men try and brush things off in humor or short answers or whatever. Like, I almost feel like it's an exaggeration a little bit, but for some people it's their real life. But like, if you've ever seen that picture or any episode of like King of the Hill where all the guys are standing outside drinking beer, they would consider themselves all each other's best friends. And essentially most of the time all they say is like, how's your day? How was work? And they like sometimes say words, but most of the time grunt. Right. Or sometimes say nothing and just come up next to each other and drink beer or whatever. And I think there's a mix, right? You don't always have to have like a crazy, but I think most men like brush serious topics off with like humor most of the time, or like demean somebody who's actually like trying to be serious about stuff. Especially, at least for me, working in a field of a lot of men, like whenever I try and be real about them, it feels like it gives everyone whiplash. Of me like having a
real conversation.
Yeah, like a genuine conversation about something. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, some people are lucky. There's always exceptions to the rule.
I think it's also like when you do give certain people that chance and they surprise you, and that's always a nice surprise. But I think that's the thing too, is like you won't be able to build a real conversation if you don't go there and then see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is interesting, and I think it's also good to hear from like a guy's perspective, because I know a lot of guys for sure use humor when they feel some type of way and they want to brush it off.
Yeah. And I think this goes beyond too. It's like, I think both like men and women or whatever, like everyone feels this and like has to grapple with it in some way, right? Like regardless of who you are, whether you are like an emotional like stuffer, right? Like you just bottle everything, or you are someone who lets your emotions like just run rampant and like cause havoc for your entire life. Both of them cause havoc. Actually, I don't even want to phrase it as one or the other. Like both of them technically cause havoc, right? Like, and I think
that's a good point.
And I think men and women can be either or, right? Like it can be interchangeable. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like super valuable for anyone to like feel. And I think it makes you stronger. And this is also coming from someone, I'm not even necessarily the greatest at this either. Like this is like one of the greatest struggles like of my life in general is doing this. And I think it's a massive struggle. I even think Marcus Aurelius struggled with this as well. Like I think most people are constantly trying to get a handle on finding that balance.
Yeah, that is true.
Right? And for example, like how you brought up being a monk or even priests or whatever. And okay, I'm going to make another jump, everybody. So everyone hold on. Like, okay, this is actually the reason why I have a massive issue with Star Wars. Specifically with the monks, the priests, and the Jedi specifically. You create a life for yourself. Well, at least for priests and nuns and monks, you're essentially an escapist. You have to carve out this life that is devoid of technically reality. You have run to a coven, you have run to, or is that what it's called? A nunnery? Or the church or a temple or whatever, to live this life where you don't really have to work, right? Like you do special things, the temple is taken care of by whatever, you technically do chores, right? But you don't have to go have a family, you don't have to go find a romantic partner. And this applies to all of them, not just monks, like priests, nuns. Like the choice to be celibate, the choice to devote yourself to specifically religion, and like essentially eliminating a lot of normal parts of life, and you're escaping life to essentially try and deal with less, right? And focus more on one thing and hone it, versus normal people can't do that, right? Like normal people have different jobs, right? They have to go find a romantic partner. They have children. Like,
well, they don't have to.
Well, but that's what I mean is because obviously these people have a choice to escape. And so that's my problem is people who come off as not feeling, right? Like people who come off as very level-headed and neither like feel like don't seem to express a wide range of emotion.
Okay.
It's harder to connect to.
Yeah.
Right? Which with the Jedi, the biggest disconnect is the quote Obi-Wan says of Anakin was like a brother to me. When in reality, we didn't really even see a wide range of emotion from them at all. And they're also forcing themselves to be not human. Like the romance was forced and awkward, and
they're just too good.
You're making these heroes that are hard to identify with. And I feel like stoicism is more so the practice of trying to do it in real life.
Well, I think that's what you're forgetting, though, is like people actually don't mind surface level. Like most people, which is sad because, like I said, they're two good looking people. Oh, great. So romantic. Like that's all they need. And that's why, like, you seeing it at a more in depth, it's like actually that's not what the percentage actually portrays or tries to see. Which is sad. That's why I'm like, I know there's other people that feel this way or are at least probably feel alone in it, and letting you know you're not alone, because that's why I love having conversations with Noah about it, because I told him, like, I would feel all these things, but I would keep them to myself, or would look at something, I'm like, oh, like no one else is talking about that, like doesn't anyone else feel this type of way? And like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people don't go to those conclusions or understanding. And I used to always just feel like maybe I was looking too into it, or who knows what, and just realizing, yeah, like a lot of people, most of, you know, society does think in just like very surface level things. And that's why I told Noah, like, I want us to talk about these things so we can connect with other people, so that way you don't feel alone, that if you also like to think in a deeper level or understanding of things and you want more, that, yeah, like that's very understandable. At least I would think so, because I would always like feel very understood when Noah would share his perspective. I'm like, gosh, I love that you saw more than just like, oh yeah, that was a great, you know, I don't even know, like that's why it just really gets at me when people don't go in depth about things, or at least not against me. I just like really love when people do go in depth. That I was like, oh my gosh, I love that you noticed that, and you know, touched on this, things like that. So that was like a huge thing that I always point out to Noah. I'm like, a lot of people don't think like this, Noah. So I'm not surprised with a lot of times when you watch a TV show or movies that, you know, I want like more out of it. But
okay, and also let me just preface, if you want to escape and you want to be a monk, a priest, a nun, whatever it is, that's fine. I'm not even necessarily going to judge, but, and maybe this is purely me being an American and me specifically putting this perspective on it, but me hearing wise wisdom from someone who, that's your only job. Your only job is to sit in the temple and meditate. You don't have to fit meditation into a normal life where you have a job, kids, wife, or a significant other in general, right? Like someone who finds enlightenment through a normal life, who that wasn't their only pure dedication is to think about that, hits me more versus someone who, well, yeah, that was your only job.
yeah,
If you didn't find enlightenment and you were a monk, you kind of failed your one job.
yeah,
But like, that's just me personally. That's how I feel.
No, I think that's fair, and I think people should acknowledge that with when you are wanting advice or perspective, understanding that person's reality is important. And I think that comes a lot up with you know, when I'm coaching people, I'm like, no, you should get along with the person you're having help you. Like, you should get along with them and you should feel understood by them. And that's why too, like, if you relate to them, then that makes it easier when they do give you advice or a perspective on things. You're just like, oh, you're right, like I didn't see it that way, and it does hit more because they're like, you know, that they were there too.
It actually kind of, funnily enough, reminds me of this movie called About Time, where essentially the full premise of the movie comes down to this family, the men in their family are able to go back in time.
It's
and they have
really
this power.
Romantic movie. I love
and essentially the entire lesson of the movie boils down to the best way to live your life is a life that you aren't time traveling and just instead choosing to enjoy every day, the good and the bad. Right? Which is why for me, that lesson hits harder, like having to actually grieve somebody, right? Like you could technically live that day of someone before they die or while they're healthy every day for the rest of your life if you never wanted to say goodbye.
Yeah.
In that movie. But eventually you have to let go, right? And I think trying to find that version of like peace or balance while also dealing with kids and a family and a job and everything else that comes along with just being a normal human being like in this life, it just hits more than if I were to watch a Jedi, like quote unquote, who their only job is to find enlightenment, preach to me about enlightenment. And I'm like, okay, well, whenever you have a kid that wakes you up in the middle of the night and you're working on 2 hours of sleep for weeks straight, how about then you come and talk? Right? Because most people aren't coming at it where they get to piece out their entire, like, for years of their life in order to find enlightenment. Instead, like, people are having to do this like on the run, right?
Well,
like,
I think that's the beauty of actually sharing the ups and downs, and that's why I don't think you should be fearful of sharing that, because people can relate to that. You're human, right? Like, oh, you cried or you were hurt by this thing that is very understandably to be hurt by. You're human. Like, I don't know why that's a fearful thing to show someone or to show, so I agree. Like, it's just, sharing perspectives.
Honey's like, you're attacking me.
Let's see. What do you guys do for a living? Well, I actually am an online coach. So I like I said, I help people lose weight or help them gain muscle, like just with their fitness journey. And Noah, you want to share what you do?
What I do?
Yeah.
With what?
No, what do you do for a living?
Oh, I drive for a Brown company. I drive a truck for that company. The big ones, like the big semi truck. Like,
yeah, the big semi truck. He's really good at driving. But yeah, he also is always like on like 12-hour shifts kind of vibe kind of thing. So he has to be very intentional with his time. Let's see. Escaping from the day-to-day activities and detachment is the hardest thing in the world, I feel. Meditation or being a monk is suppressing our own feelings and thinking from our heads. Thinking only using our head sounds easy, but it's the toughest thing. Do you guys watch sitcoms?
Do we watch sitcoms? Yeah.
Sitcoms are just like humor, right? It's like TV shows that are humorous.
Yeah, it's like The Office.
Oh yeah, I love The Office.
I'd even say
how about the one that we're watching, what's it called? It's on Apple.
Yeah.
Shrinking. There we go. Oh my gosh, that one is so funny. I love that one. Oh yeah, no, I love see, like that thing. That's the funny thing. It's just like, I feel like having laughter in your life is so important. Like, it's like, I'm asking you this right now. Like, when was the last time you laughed? And I'm speaking for myself. There go days that I don't laugh, and I noticed those were actually the moments of my life that I was in, like, not in the most like good headspace. And it did hit me. I was just like, man, like, I need to throw more laughter, because it's kind of like your emotional disruption. Like, you have to disrupt that pattern. When you're just too serious all the time, you do need that to like disrupt that pattern within yourself. And so I really enjoy, like, man, people that are very funny. Like, oh my gosh, I just want to be around them all the time. Like, it's so cool. Like, I really do think that's something that people should acknowledge. If you're having any type of humor in your life, you do need that. I feel like it's just, you can't go on life like that. Like, it would suck. It would be sad. I'd be sad for you. I was sad for myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So watching TV shows that make you laugh, if you can't find someone funny around you, I mean that it is actually hard, man. Being funny is hard. So if you can't find people that are funny around you, watch TV shows, because then at least you'll laugh at that. It's true. I'm serious. Like it. Like, well, what do you think? Do you think it's easy to be funny? You're like, yes.
No.
Noah's lucky. He has very funny friends, and so he's probably like, I'm always around funny. Like, it's just normal to him, but it's very rare, I think.
Yeah, I think not rare, but I think it's definitely an acquired like skill that most people like choose to chase their entire life.
Like, what, to be funny?
Yeah, because I think most people that are funny are trying to chase being funny their entire life. Like,
but they already made it. I'm just kidding.
No, but I mean, like, there can be comedians who stop sharpening their skills. Stop. I think it's easier to lose being funny than it is to gain being funny. And I think being funny is like one of those things where it's like Sisyphus, like pushing the boulder up the hill of like just a constant battle of like you're never there and you're always like trying to do it. Because it's like,
well, that's why I admire it, because it is hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, I guess it's rare. It's rare to run into people who devote themselves to
everyone has a different type of humor. Let's be honest, everyone does have a different type of humor. That's why if someone thinks I'm like funny, then you're probably just laugh at anything, because I just laugh at anything. Like, not okay, see, I say that, no, like, not disregarding the people that I think are very funny. I just like being silly and goofy. So usually the people that we laugh at the same thing, it's pretty much like, I'm not saying a joke, I think we just laugh at silly things. But the people that are funny, I'm usually just like quiet. I tell Noah I don't know actually how to interact with real funny people. I don't know how to interact with them, because they're just
What?
Yeah, like if they're actually really good at like saying a joke or whatever. I'm that person that I'm just like sitting right here, like I'm almost like I'm just here for, you know, the show. I'm just enjoying myself. And I actually feel like it's something that intimidates me, because I feel like they're like, I don't know, I feel like you have to be it's a certain of intelligence to be funny. So to me that is also like admirable, but also intimidating, because I'm like, I'm not funny. If I say something, I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna mess up, you know, their whole like.
But that's part of being funny.
No, it's not.
Is you have to be able to mess up and either be good at apologizing or like find your level of what you're willing to apologize for, right? It's
Why
like,
am I apologizing for not being funny?
well, if a joke doesn't
like
a joke doesn't hit.
Oh, okay. And then I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because I mean, essentially, that's the whole reason why comedians have to put in so many reps and do stand-up is because they need to find the jokes that actually hit, or
I mean, I bet that is so satisfying.
How to word a joke that it does hit, right? Because there's lots of ways, like everything is how you say it.
Well, yeah.
Right, and even comedians make bad jokes. Even professional ones make bad jokes. Like a majority of the time,
make a good one.
A majority of the time they're making bad jokes more than they're making good jokes. And that's why I'm saying is you have to be willing to say it in order to try it out and also apologize, right? Which is why comedians have to be lighthearted and not take things so seriously, is because they're used to trying out jokes on each other and being able to easily forgive, right? Because they understand the process of saying a joke and it doesn't work and having to rework it, right? Versus if all of them were super serious all the time and, like you said, never be willing to actually test out material because they're afraid of it being wrong.
Noah says I can practice with him and just share my jokes.
Yeah.
They're not funny though.
But part of that is about it's like that joke with Michael Scott, right? Like you miss all the shots you don't take.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And so you just got to keep shooting, you know?
Yeah. But I really do enjoy being around those people that are very just lighthearted and are, I mean, I say naturally, but like you said, they've worked to have that sense of humor,
Yeah.
it's nice to be around. Like I love a good laugh.
Mhm.
Like I will definitely just, geez, like that's my favorite. Our favorite sitcoms. Oh, and then no offense, but Office feels too dry. Well, think about it. It's probably just not like, okay. This is what actually I thought about Napoleon when I first saw that movie.
Dynamite.
Huh?
Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite.
The movie? Is that what you're
The
talking
guy
about?
with the glass, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he does his little dance.
Oh, okay. Because there's also like the French Napoleon guy. So
Oh,
I
no,
was just
no, this one's,
I was just clarifying.
no, this one's the.
Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite. That's the
Okay,
name
then
of the
it's
movie.
that one. Okay, when I first saw it, I was like, "What is this movie? This movie is so bad." And then watched it because I think that's the thing, right? I took it too seriously. Like when you take something too seriously, you're not going to enjoy it, you know,
Mhm.
well, for its humor. So then me and my family watched it again, and I'm like, "Wait a second, this movie's kind of funny, like, you know." But it wasn't in its time. Like I think it was like that humor was new, or at least I was barely exposed to it.
It's an acquired taste.
Yes, but then I thought it was like really funny. But it's weird that I didn't the first time I watched it because I've never seen something like that. So that's kind of how I see The Office. Like it's probably something you probably like took too seriously, but then later when you do watch it, it's funny. Like I don't
Mhm.
know, but you have to give things a shot.
Yeah, and also the Office takes a little bit to get going. And then whenever you get going, there's so many different types of people in it that not all the humor is dry, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone has a different kind of style, like in
Mhm.
the show, and you have to be okay with like a little bit of awkwardness and stuff.
Mhm.
But also, you know, there's sitcoms for everybody, right?
Yeah,
like
there's
I also really enjoy I mean, they're kind of sitcoms, like South Park,
yeah, South Park is funny. Yeah.
King of the Hill, Futurama, Family Guy's okay. It's a little much
like-
sometimes.
I like Family Guy,
Your favorite is American Dad, though,
and I like
right?
American Dad too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I like Parks and Recreation,
I know we don't
The
watch.
Office.
Well, we watch some sitcoms, but we actually like watching a lot of funny YouTubers. I like watching that too.
Yeah.
So
Shrinking,
yeah, Shrining's good.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Abbott Elementary,
Oh yeah, that one's funny.
Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like Arrested Development is way more of an acquired taste than The Office is.
Yeah.
Like, I think it cranks up what The Office is. Like, Office, normie.
Uh-huh.
Arrested Development, way more acquired taste.
Mhm.
Like, I think if someone is like, oh yeah, my Arrested Development is my favorite, I'm like, oh wow. Like, because it is like, it takes that, you have to be ultra, it's almost like the same level of Napoleon Dynamite, if not a bit more, of like, the jokes aren't clear. It is
Yeah.
hinged on you understanding the awkwardness of every character and being able to laugh at how uncomfortable like they're making everyone feel. You know? Trying to think of other ones. Hmm.
Or hesitant to be real now. I know that was like to it.
Yeah, that was whenever we were kind of
Mhm.
talking about like
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember. But
yeah.
what are your guys' favorites? Because if you think The Office is too dry, like what do you think is that happy spot for you? But yeah, everyone does have a different kind of sense of humor.
Yeah, and luckily there's lots of different sitcoms,
Yeah.
right? And that's like part of the thing with like different levels of like everything, right? Because South Park is another different level, right? Like you have to be okay with people being awful, right? And being able to laugh at people being awful and thinking of how ridiculous it is, right?
Yeah.
Because of same thing with Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And then there's levels and
Yeah.
like different kinds of humor for each, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're at about an hour,
Mm-hmm.
so we can chill for today if you want.
That's true. I know. We appreciate you guys just here and just yapping with us and talking about this stuff. But we're probably gonna just log off here. I don't know. You know, we'll do it for a good hour.
Yeah. Next time, I actually either want to do one to where we go through like the top 10 on my anime list
Ooh.
and give our thoughts about them, because you and I have probably watched most of the ones on the top 10.
Yeah.
Or you and I both come with our own like 3x3 like list of trying to encapsulate our taste in anime specifically, and we'll go back and forth and give our reasonings as to why we picked what.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah, that's actually
because
not a bad idea.
the 9x9 or 3x3 should be picked based on not what you think is the best, but what you think, if someone was to give you recommendations, would encapsulate the most general picture of your taste, like and what you prefer.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, we really enjoyed talking with you guys, and I can't wait for next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for chatting with us.